Now get set for the big one, folks. It's a trophy run. And who's for Mickey Thompson's big Pontiac Stalker? Who's for Strickland's charging 409 Chevy? Give him the starting flag there, Joe. The Pontiac takes it with a 110.29 miles per hour.
A Mickey Thompson Tempest, driven by Lloyd Cox, races in the A Factory experimental class to win over Dick Jesse from Royal Pontiac.
This car is in the factory experimental class, and the driver from Pennsylvania always has one of the top cars in the nation. Because some of the equipment is not generally available, this car is assigned to the A Factory experimental class. Stocks and dragsters, representing the extremes of the drag racing scale, are relatively easy to classify. The next stop is the pit area of Indianapolis Raceway Park. In broad general terms, cars are either hot or stock. They're either factory assembled or showroom available. Now, here comes the factory experimental classes. Dave Strickler wins the A Factory experimental class and receives a gold wristwatch awarded to all 70 class winners by George Hurst. Two Pontiacs duel in the B Factory experimental class with Jim Wangers, the number 926, winning it. The F Gasser takes off, and then the A Factory experimental job. But Dave Koffel can't hold his lead, and Dave Strickler comes on to win the heat. Next up, Jim Wangers versus Jim Johnson. The B Factory experimental takes the modified sports car, and the stage is set for the final elimination. Only a small handicap this time, but Wangers jumps the gun, and Dave Strickler wins the little Eliminator trophy with an elapsed time of 12.1 seconds. Dave Strickler gets set for the A Factory experimental class event. This class features those entries with limited production and special performance options. Two Plymouths start the action. Next up, Bill Shrewsbury and Strickler. Shrewsbury fouls. The Ram Charger's Dodge in the near lane beats the Comet. Ronnie Sox wins the Battle of the Comets. Tom Grove's Melrose Missile noses out Don Nicholson. The Cyclone leaves Lonnie Dinsmore at the line as the BFX class runoffs are underway. That's the fortunes of drag racing. Fred Cutler's Hemi-Wagon on the way to the VFX crown bests David Lyall. Ed Powell's Ford meets Jim Smith's Dodge. Ed Sharkman and Mike Buckles battle down the strip, but the Ram Charger's entry takes the run. Strickler advances with another win. Jake Howard's Comet whips Ronnie Sox. in an all-Plymouth go, the Melrose Missile leaves Henry Schrenk behind. Strickler slams through the gears. And the Dodge takes the AFX crown. Mercury Comet running in B-fuel dragster class. George Montgomery's A-Gas Supercharged versus Dave Strickler's AFX winner. Strickler gets the head start. Montgomery chases him. And Montgomery blasts by to win. The Stocker Field entries read like the who's who of the quarter mile, with Dick Branster's Color Me Gone, Bud Fauble's Honker, Bobby Harrop's Flying Carpet, the Ram Chargers, Sox and Martin, Phil Bonner, and Al Ekstrand set off to kick off the new campaign. Dick Landy comes to the line to try his new Dodge. Watch it. Lots of traction, but he can't keep it straight. Dave Koppel's Maloney Motors Plymouth takes its turn. Followed by Ronnie Sox. And Bill Jenkins. But before the stock class runoffs begin, the 16 cars with the lowest elapsed times parade before the eager spectators. And the competitors share the interest of the fans, for this is the first time out for the new models. Months of work have been crammed into a few 2 short weeks to get ready for the trip to Phoenix. Many who had planned to make the trip are still home working on their new campaigner. In the second round of the Mr. Stock Eliminator runoffs, Al Ekstrand beats Dr. Dick Spence and the Missouri Mule. Roger Lindemann whips Milton and Snow, who redlighted. Bud Fauble, with an ET of 10.90, eliminates a Lee Smith Plymouth. And the Ram Chargers Dodge completes the round with an impressive win. Bud Fauble races Roger Lindemann and Color Me Gone. And Fauble leads the length of the strip. The final Mr. Stock Eliminator run is an all-Mopar show as Al Ekstrand draws Bud Fauble for the race for the crown. And Fauble and the Dodge take the win with an ET of 10.96. Top end speed, 129.31. Ronnie Sox uses the return road as Bud Fauble from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, Mr. Stock Eliminator at Phoenix, accepts the trophy and congratulations from the Queen of the Winter Championships. On Sunday, the final of the 3-day event, 30,000 drag racing fans jammed the stands and parking areas to watch the action-packed races. More than 50,000 spectators have seen close to 100 new records established. First up, the Ultra Stock Trophy Run. Dick Landy in the bar lane versus Butch Leal. And Leal takes the class honors in one of the first funny cars seen in a drag race. Two new Dodges meet for Super Stock automatic honors. And it's another classic Ram Chargers Color Me Gone battle. The Ram Chargers win with a record-shattering 10.99 ET and 131.57 top speed. Dave Strickler in the near lane captures a Super Stock title with an 11.13 ET as his opponent breaks a drive shaft on the run. Fauble and the Honker eliminate Bobby Harrop as Fauble continues his winning ways on the Arizona asphalt. The Star Hickey Ford in the near lane races the Golden Commandos Plymouth. And the Plymouth takes it. The handicap system giving the slower class car a head start is in effect as the top stock eliminator runoffs progress. Dave Strickler's Dodge runs against Butch Leal's new Plymouth. Strickler holds a handicap lead as Fauble and the Ram Chargers return. Yesterday's big stock winner, Bud Fauble, fouled, and the Ram Chargers' Mike Buckles will meet Strickler in the semifinals. The farmer, Arnie Beswick, looks like he's on a solo run, but overtakes the T-Bird on a Sportsmanator dash. Beswick's time, 11.11. The Bob Ford takes an early lead, but Beswick's storming Pontiac roars by for a Sportsman Eliminator victory. And the crowd shows its approval for the Poncho win. Hayden Prophet is anxious to try his new Mercury Comet. Jack Chrisman is ready with his Supercharged Cyclone. So is Arnie Beswick. And Gas Ronda. This is what the crowd came to see. The new factory experimentals in head-to-head races. In the first Ford versus Plymouth match, Gas Ronda's red Mustang meets Al Extran's Plymouth. And Ronda hits the finish line first. Next up, the Tasca Ford entry and Don Nicholson's Comet. Bill Lawton's Mustang takes the win as Nicholson's in trouble. Roger Lindemuth and the Color Me Gone Dodge eliminate Dick Brannon. Number 612, Hayden Prophet, meets Phil Bonner. Bonner's Mustang wins as the veteran Prophet encounters shifting problems. Tom Grove's Plymouth beats Arnie Beswick to the end of the quarter mile. That's the little red wagon standing on its tailgate. The Dodge pickup truck was converted to racing and is powered by a 425 horsepower V8. The wagon pioneered a trend in exhibition cars. Dave Strickler from York, Pennsylvania,
whips the gay Pontiac from Dickinson, Texas for the A modified production title and collects the loot. Only 4 factory experimentals are left as George DeLorean races Len Richter. DeLorean fouls, and Richter is the winner. But Len popped something as he struggled to a 23-second ET. Tom Groves and the Melrose Missile met Bill Lawton in the other semifinal. Neither knew this run would be for the money, as Richter was done for the day. Lawton's hole shot paid off. Bill Lawton and the Tasca Mustang are the Winter Nationals factory stock eliminator.
There were the slick super stalkers. They were rich and good looking. They were class. All the top names from all over the country came to test the brand new Bristol strip. First off, the super stalkers, the wild Detroit-built dragsters, funny cars, now running in their own private category called the Match Bash. This was a no-holds-barred, make-it-as custom as you want category. And they tried everything with such famous names as the Golden Commandos, the Honker, Ronnie Socks, Dave Strickler, and Bob Harrop's Flying Carpet battling it out. Bristol also marked the world premiere of Hearst's wheel-standing Hemi Under Glass. The second round of the Match Bash had Dave Strickler sitting it out, while the Flying Carpet just pulled the rug out from under the Honker with a real heads-up run. Time for the Match Bash finals. Dave Strickler won out over Bob Harrop, who jumped at the start. Strickler turned 130 miles per hour in 11.3 seconds. Dave, a Dodge driver from York, Pennsylvania, has been one of the top stock drag racers. He was Little Eliminator at the 1963 Nationals. Top stock round 3. Dave Strickler, the Match Bash winner from Bristol, eliminates Bristol's top stock eliminator, Mike Schmidt. Round 4 for the top stocks. Unknown Bud Schellenberger keeps rolling as Dave Strickler is disqualified. Bill Lawton, factory experimental eliminator at the Winter Nationals, runs heads up with Joe Smith. It's even all the way with Lawton just pulling it out through the trap. Bob Coble draws a bye. In the stock semis, Lawton comes up against Coble, but gets a bad bouncing start as Coble smokes it through all the way.
1966. Again, Pomona. NHRA Winter Nationals. A tough team comes in from North Carolina. Buddy Martin, team manager. Ronnie Socks, driver. Jake King, master engine builder. Socks and Martin, they turn Hemi Power loose in their gas-burning funny car, winning their class and become the talk of the sport.
Stock cars are a big favorite here at the Pomona Winter Nationals. Fans eagerly watch their favorite makes in competition. And everyone certainly likes the funny cars, which are factory experimentals incorporating test features not found on showroom models.
Something way out in the Hearst Carryolds. A pulling plant in front and a pushing mill in the trunk. You've got veteran Joe Schubeck at the wheel. This one gets a lot of attention everywhere. The big names are here, all of them coming for the smoker action. Joe Davis in his Colt 45. Pete Miller in his chicken coop. And the gas Ronda Mustang, which howled through the funny car class consistently in the second bracket.
The fuel-injected, non-fendered cars in this bracket are the end of the line for production bodies.
the hot rodder is free to develop and test any new ideas in chassis and equipment, providing they meet rigid safety regulations.
At the starting line, we'll set them. Gene Snow, Fort Worth, Texas, the rambunctious, a 65 Dodge Dart, and a lot of stories about this car. Notice how carefully they move them up there. Move them in, and you'll see the staging lights lit, and then they go thundering away. The competition eliminator. Bill Lawton in the Mustang, squirreled a little bit coming off the starting line in the competition eliminator semifinal. The rambunctious with Gene Snow, Fort Worth, Texas, is the winner.
Back to the trailer for Bill Lawton. And now, the competition eliminator final.
Competition eliminator, Gene Snow's rambunctious Dart out of Fort Worth, Texas. The supercharged gas dragster, Greg Gibson, White Plains, New York. The dragster has the handicap advantage. The big question, can Gene Snow catch him? Yes, he can catch him. 9.04 seconds, 153 plus miles an hour. Joe Davis, Campbell, California, driving a Mustang. This should be quick. This young lady has her favorite. Gas dragster comes flashing down, and the dragster wins, and this young lady is unhappy. Oh, well, back to the drawing board.
They're bringing out the factory experimental fuel class first. These stock-body dragsters are built strictly for racing, with extensive modifications to the engines, light fiberglass and aluminum to replace the heavier steel in the original bodies, and the wheelbases have been altered to throw most of the car's weight onto those 11-inch wide racing slick tires, which both of these drivers are now burning in. It'll be the Ford Mustang of Gas Rhonda in the far lane or pit side against Rayful Shields and the Chevrolet on the near or spectator side. Rhonda is from Azusa, California, and his 2,480-pound fiberglass, beautifully molded Mustang is powered by the new 427 cubic inch single overhead cam Hemi Ford engine, developing about 900 horsepower with its nitromethane boost. His competition, Rayful Shields, the Flying Texan, is driving a 2,490-pound 1965 Chevrolet, which was built about 3 months ago with this meat in mind. Its engine is 426 cubic inches. Both cars have automatic transmissions and live on the exotic nitromethane and alcohol instead of conventional gasoline. Now the flagman, Skeet Chambers, has them lined up for the start, and here's the first big race of the day. It's the Ford away first at the green light. And still in the lead, it's the Mustang over the Chevy. The winner is Gas Rhonda with an elapsed time of 9.41 seconds at 155.17 miles per hour. There are 12 cars entered in this class, and the next set is coming out already. It's Ray Capps, another driver from Mesquite, Texas, as was Shields, in a topless 65 Dodge called the Headhunter. Against the Beaumont, Texas-based blue Chevy 2 of Randy Blackwell, the Rogue. Blackwell's two-door, weighing 2,600 pounds, runs with a big version of the 396-inch engine, injected and with an automatic transmission. Capps relies on the Hemi Head 426 cubic inch Mopar mill and weighs about 2,500 pounds overall. Now, watch him. The Headhunter leaps off the line and he's way in front of the Rogue, which looks like it's in trouble. There's Capps crossing the finish track first with a 10.02 elapsed time and 142.16 miles per hour for a victory over Randy Blackwell, who was slowed down apparently by mechanical difficulties. The third race in this first round of FX Fuel pits the CKC racing team against Jack Robbins of Fort Worth in a 65 Chevrolet with a new 427 cubic inch engine. That's the CKC car on camera now, and if you've wondered just how thin those fiberglass bodies can get, look at how the engine vibrations are rippling the sides of this Chevy. The driver, Rich Callier, is looking around for Robbins, and frankly, so are we. Well, they're waving Callier up alone now, and we can see why. Robbins' Chevy has failed to fire. He's being pushed back out of contention. So it'll be CKC by itself, and any way he goes, he's a winner. Fritz Callier in a single-car race, and he puts on a good show, cutting the lights with a 9.96 ET at 139.96 miles per hour. We're still in the first round of the Factory Experimental Fuel Championships with the world champion Scootin' Cuda, 1966 Plymouth, piloted by Doc Spence in Kansas City, Missouri, now warming up. That Cuda is sponsored by the Seitz brothers, and that's their pitman Bob Mannion squirting benzene on the rear tires for better traction. Their competition is the Bad News Chevy 2 of Hoffman and Conofax out of Salina, Kansas, a Super Sport 427 threat to the Cuda's chances. The Plymouth moves with all the power of a 426 Hemi-head engine and weighs in at just under 2,500 pounds. And these boys are close. But then so is the team of Hoffman and Conofax with the Bad News Chevy 2. Running better than 50% of nitromethane and alcohol, this car, which is almost 2,600 pounds heavy, boasts around 750 horsepower. Keep an eye on those lights in the foreground of your picture. They'll go from red to a small white light for each lane, and then flash green to start this race between the Scootin' Cuda in the spectator lane and Bad News on the pit side. This is one to watch. Mopar versus General Motors with a $1,000 pot of gold at the end of the day for the ultimate winner in FX Fuel. And they are ready to race. It's the Bad News. Inside the sights on the people's side closest to the camera. Now it's Doc Spence across the right first with an elapsed time of 9.69 seconds at a top-end speed of 150.25 miles per hour, fast enough to really need that parachute to help him stop. Now pushing out for the fifth race of this round of factory experimental competition is the team of Erickson and Willard of Wichita, Kansas, with the 65 Chevelle. They'll come head-on against the Euless, Texas driver Ken Hare, who's quick as a rabbit in a 65 Chevy 2 weighing only 2,400 pounds. You can see how the crew now is assisting the engine start of the Erickson and Willard car by putting some of that horsepower doubling nitro directly into the injector stacks of this 427 cubic inch power plant, while the flagman Skeet Chambers waits patiently for both cars to get to the line. Oh, wait a minute, that's the race director in the white shirt, Jimmy Kirk, and it looks as though Erickson and Willard will have the track to themselves as Ken Hare can't get his car running, and the decision is to let the other man go it alone. You can understand why that rule must be enforced, painful as it is to the management of the track. If there were no time control, the first car started might overheat. Waiting for the competition to come out. As it is, these high-powered temperamental automobiles require as much as a full hour to cool down between each race due to the high heats generated within those fire-breathing engines. So in a single run, Erickson and Willard turns the quarter mile in 9.99 seconds at 143.54 miles per hour. Now here's a man with a tough road to hoe. It's Bruce Winters in the Beverly's B 64 Dodge against Mr. Chevy himself, Dick Harrell, formerly of New Mexico, now from Chicago. And this 66 Chevy 2 Super Sport and the guy who drives it are considered one of the toughest combinations to beat in drag racing today. That Dodge, owned by the husband and wife team of Bruce and Beverly Winters from Waco, Texas, is 3,000 pounds of eager mobile, anxious to beat this former Southwesterner, and now they're out. Current holder of the World Point Championship title takes the lead as they go by the grandstand, and through the ice first, it's Mr. Chevrolet with an ET of 9.83 and 138.24 miles per hour. Here are the first cars to race in the exciting second round of the factory experimental fuel cars. This is the Scootin' Cuda, a solid pre-race favorite, piloted by Doc Spence, a practicing physician from Kansas City, Missouri, against Ray Capps of Mesquite, Texas, a relatively unknown driver of a 65 Dodge called the Headhunter. Capps is his own mechanic, and he doesn't go in for the heavy traction master and a lot of burn-ins, but his reactions are quick, and he's a plenty competent driver. So it's Ray Capps on the far side and Doc Spence in the spectator lane, and here we go. Hey, the Headhunter got the jump on Spence at the light, pulling him on the full length ahead of the start. Now Spence has to come from behind. But he didn't do it. And Ray Capps pulls off the upset of the meet, beating the Cuda with a 10.02 elapsed time and 142.18 miles per hour. Still in factory experimental fuel competition, here's Gas Ronda with that great-looking Mustang toting a potent single overhead cam Ford Hemi engine. Ready to race Fritz Callier in the CKC Fastback from San Antonio. 427 cubic inches of General Motors power. And both cars weigh right at 2,400 pounds. It's Ford in the spectator lane and Chevrolet on the pit side, and this race is on. Hey, CKC with a home shot on Wanda. Could this be another upset? No, the Mustang is pulling ahead at the halfway point and finishes in the lead by a length. A thrilling race with a spectator side gas run to the winner at 154.37 miles per hour and 9.28 seconds elapsed time. Fritz Callier, who almost took a tall one with that great start, finished with a 10.20 ET. Meanwhile, back on the line, it's Dick Harrell of Chicago, Mr. Reflexes, with the Chevy 2 Super Sport on the pit lane, getting ready to run against Erickson and Willard of Wichita, Kansas, in the Silver Chevelle. And while both of these cars burn in their tires and clean out those 427 cubic inch engines, look at the skies. Threatening rain all day, and we're just hoping it'll hold off until we finish these races. Back on the track, we should mention that for safety's sake, the factory experimentals are required to carry full roll cages, scatter shields. They must be 1962 models or younger and weigh at least 2,400 pounds. Otherwise, anything goes. And these two are a couple of fastest. You remember in the first round, Harold beat the Beverly's B with a 9.83 ET, and Erickson and Willard turned a 9.99 on a lone run when Ken Hare's competition failed to fire. Now the flagman's bringing them to the line, and we are about to watch another great race. Dick Harrell on the far side and Erickson and Willard in the spectator lane. The action at the top of the hill with Dick Harrell, the winner in 9.73 seconds at 141.50 miles per hour. And that quick start saved him because the loser actually had a better time, turning the quarter in 9.67. But the results are Mr. Reflexes and his Chevrolet in the semifinals later this afternoon against a Ford and a Dodge for the FX Fuel title.
Here's one of the real strong drivers and mighty cars in the factory experimental fuel class, and sometimes the gas class, Dick Harrell. Dick, good to see you again. This is the Grand American Finale points champion in the professional stock class. And here's his car, as you can see, sponsored by Nicky Chevrolet of Chicago. How long you been in Chicago there, Dick?
I've lived there about 6 months, Pete.
You were from New Mexico?
Yes, originally from New Mexico. I've lived in New Mexico and Arizona just most of my life.
Actually, you got most of your fame in New Mexico. It must be rather difficult for you to pick up and move to a whole new section, leaving all your friends behind.
Yes, it sure is. We've run all over the United States for the last 2 years, so I was pretty familiar with most of the country, but it was real hard leaving all these good Texas and New Mexico people.
Well, they're still with you, Dick. Listen, one of the questions I get, and I think the people here watching can see this, wherever you go, huge crowds follow and gather around your car, even when you're working. Does this bother you?
No, not too much, Pete. I feel like that if they're that interested, that just let them be, because I enjoy talking to people, and sometimes I can help them, and at least I know if they're watching us and they're all behind us.
Let's take a look at this championship Chevy of yours, Dick, and see what makes it go. If you'll tell us, well, how much away from stock is it, actually?
Well, the body shell and all is basically a stock Chevy 2. We've added a tube front end assembly, installed a larger engine, and fiberglass components for the lightweight, and that's just about it, the extent of the modifications.
And now what elapsed times will it go?
Well, we run 920s and 930s in the quarter mile at 153 miles an hour. In the eighth mile, we run 598, 123 miles an hour. This is from a standstill.
Dick, what does it feel like when you ride in a car of this type?
Well, I don't know. I guess for the first time, someone that has never been in one, it's quite a thrill, and you realize the speed you're going. But most of the racers have worked up to this speed, and it isn't much worse on us other than just driving a family car, really, because we're aware of the speed, and it just doesn't seem like it's there.
Now, you wear a flame suit and other protective gear. It must be a little dangerous.
Oh, yes. We know the trouble that other cars have had, and with fires and etc., and our associations are real strict enforcing the rules because a lot of people don't realize the danger in running these cars, and we have to use shoulder harnesses, seat belts, full roll cages, and a complete protective fire suit.
What about the work? How much work do you have to do, Dick, when you're actually in a car?
Well, inside the car you're pretty busy because you figure under 9.5 seconds in a quarter of a mile, you don't have much time to think. So you have to be pretty fast and think hard with everything you do, because if anything happens, you have to be ready to combat any dangers in the car.
Thank you very much. Dick Harrell, our real champion. Dick?
Thank you, Pete.
Here is a race with the flavor of a grudge match. This is Don Sappington of Scottsdale, Arizona, on the spectator side, challenging Butch Leal of Tulare, California, in a quarterfinal event of the Mr. Stock Eliminator. The Mr. Stock title is worth $600 cash, but Sappington really wants revenge after losing to Leal in the FX Gas Finals last night. And this is his last chance, for as we learned earlier, Leal is giving up that Plymouth.
The California Flash has sold his car. What's in the future for Butch Leal?
Well, this guy sold it to Tommy Rogers, and we're building it in process of building it right now, a new Hemi Cuda. It weighs approximately about 1,700 pounds, and we hope it runs 790s and 180 miles an hour.
When is it going to be coming out?
December. It's a 67 model with a tube frame and stuff.
Oh, we'll be watching for that one. Butch Leal, one of the real nice guys of racing. Thank you, Butch, very much.
Now we're ready on the line. Don Sappington with a new Chevy 2327 against the California Flash, making his last appearance in the 426-inch Plymouth. There they go. Sappington put a whole shot on Leal. He is now a full car length ahead of the Plymouth, and he's keeping the lead. It is Don Sappington, the Chevrolet, a winner with 11.22 seconds elapsed time at 119.20 miles per hour. How important do the drivers consider these races? Well, that's the American Hot Rod Association's professional points champion, Dick Harrell, pushing the broom himself to be sure that there are no particles of anything to spoil the bite in his lane when he faces off with Gas Ronda in that quick Mustang out of Russ Davis Ford of Covina, California. Gaspar Ronda came from behind to beat the CKC Chevy with a time of 9.28, and his 9:26 qualifying time is still the low ET of the meet. And here's Mr. Reflex's Dick Harrell of the Windy City, whose wild car and friendly manner have won him popularity all across this racing country of ours. He's ready with that candy apple red Super Sport Chevy to do battle with Ford for at least $600 runner-up money and a chance at the whole $1,000 prize in this factory experimental class. These are the fierce competitors, finely tuned engines of almost 1,000 horsepower with TNT in their fuel tanks. It's great sport to watch, but for the drivers, when they get 2,500 pounds of car moving at more than 150 miles an hour, it can get hairy. There's plenty of danger for these boys, because when everything works right, they almost fly. And sometimes they even do that. For instance, watch how Harrell's car leaps up when his tires soak up that benzene traction aid. That's some fight. And this will be some race. It's the Gas Ronda Ford on the pit lane, a 427-inch single overhead cam power plant against the 427 Chevrolet of Dick Harrell in the near lane. Now, watch him. Look out! Harrell is losing control. That's as close a call as you can have without getting hurt. The Chevrolet careening right at the Ford and missing by just inches. Ronda gets the victory with a 9:32 elapsed time and 151.77 miles per hour. Harrell, despite the control problem, clocked 9:82 at 141.50. But the important thing is that both men are alive and unhurt after narrowly missing a high-speed collision. Here comes Dick Harrell in that wheel-standing Super Sport, and he'll be checking his car for damage, no doubt. The winner is also stopping here on the top of the hill. Let's see if we can get a word with these drivers. As you might expect, both drivers appeared to be a little shaken after that close call. In fact, when Ronda, who's normally pretty quiet, came boiling out of that Ford seconds ago, his first words were shouted at Harrell. He said, "Hey, Dick, I run a heck of a lot better when there's only one car in my lane."
And as Gas said, he does better when you're not in his lane.
Yeah, that's right.
What happened to you there?
Well, the car got up in the air, both wheels off the ground, and drifted to the left real bad. And when it gets sideways, you don't dare back out, because the tires run low air pressure. It'll roll over on you.
Well, Mr. Chevrolet, you lost to a fine car, too, didn't you?
I sure did. I respect the Fords very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Dickie. There you go.
Well, Gas Ronda, you're a finalist now in factory experimental fuel.
Right.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, I felt like a 40-car driver on that run. You know, I had to go around turns, but happy I came through anyway.
Let me ask you a few questions about that run. First of all, did you have it full out all the way through, or did you have to back off a little when Dickie came?
Yes, I had to back off to make the turn, and of course, when you do that and you back out of it, you're going to lose your ET and your speed, but it all worked out, so I'm happy about it.
Your engine's still running strong?
Yes, it's had a lot of runs on it, and we have to do some work on it soon. By that I mean change oil and check our bearings out, because when you run fuel, you know your oil doesn't last you very long.
Yeah, in spite of the somewhat unprofessional appearance of Ray Capps' car, which is just being repainted, he runs strong.
Oh, yes, he does. I really enjoy watching him. He's the funniest man I think I've ever met. I really enjoy watching him race.
And don't you know he's happy when he wins?
Oh, yeah, who isn't?
That's right.
Now here comes one of the big ones for the day. The final race in the factory experimental fuel for $1,000. Gas Ronda in a Ford Mustang from California. Against Ray Capps, the man who beat the Seitz Brothers Barracuda. Now they're ready to run, so let's watch them. Uh-oh, red light in the pit lane. Ray Capps disqualifies on a jump start. Leading early has cost him this race. And it's a tough break for a colorful champion as the headhunter gambled on a quick green light and lost. So Gas Ronda wins the big money in FX Fuel, $1,000 with a 9.31 elapsed time at 146.10 miles per hour. Apparently, Capps had the right strategy. His ET was 987, so he needed all of the edge he could safely take. Unfortunately for the Texan, he fell over that edge. So let's get the reactions of the loser and the winner in this race.
There's your factory experimental fuel championship of the meet, Gas Ronda. What a beautiful race.
Thank you very much.
Now, the video showed us you coming off the line slow and just, you know, you made a strong run, but you didn't beat Capps on the video. But, of course, Ray did red light, didn't he?
Yes, well, I saw the red light, and there was no sense me beating the machine because we have some more runs here yet, and so I decided to take it easy.
So what do you feel like when you win by a red light? Is it this victory all the same?
Well, when you run a car and you see that the other person has a much quicker car, he really doesn't have anything to lose, so he's going to take a chance. And sometimes I think the man with a fast car has a disadvantage because you can't afford a red light. You have to wait for that light. And you get beat many times this way, but that's the gamble that you have to take.
In other words, you have to give him that little edge.
Right.
Well, it was a beautiful run anyway, and you've come to a real strong field. Who was it that was the man that beat in the meet?
I don't really know. I'm a stranger. This is the first time I've ever raced in Texas, and I don't know who the man was to win, or to beat, I mean. So I can't really tell you.
Of course, you ran the big strong ones. You ran Harold and you ran Capps.
That's right. I run everyone as hard as I could run, and that's the only way I know how.
Well, we're real proud of you. Gas Ronda, factory experimental fuel champion of the meet. Thank you, Gas.
Thank you very much.
I was just a little quick. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't do no better. I couldn't wait no more.
Well, this again, we've said it before, this is your biggest purse so far in all the time you've been racing?
Yes, sir, that's it.
And I guess it just means that you got to work a little bit harder, and maybe the next time you'll take first prize.
Next time I'll be a little bit slower out of the start, and then I'll come faster down here.
Well, you didn't lose to any slouch, did you?
No, sir. I mean, if I was going to get beat, I'd rather beat him than one of them others, because he runs a whole lot better.
The Supercharged and open class racers are next. These are the anything goes cars with no weight or equipment limitations whatever, except of course the required safety gear must be present: the roll cage, the scatter shield over the clutch and pressure plate assembly, the flame suits and helmets, and the seat belt and shoulder harness. Some of these cars you've seen before in the FX Fuel class. Now though, they're probably lightened somewhat and burn a higher percentage of nitro. This truck is the lightest machine at the meet and has the smallest engine, but it could just be the fastest too. It's the 1,400-pound 289 cubic inch Ford Bronco Buster from Garden City, Michigan, driven by Doug Nash, and matched against Mr. Reflex's Dick Harrell in that Chicago-based Chevrolet. An injected Chevy tool against the Superlight all fiberglass pickup. Harrell has the pit lane, and Doug Nash is on the people's side, and this one ought to be a dandy. Skeet Chambers, the flagman, is bringing them up to the mark, and this race is just about underway. Dick Harrell gets out in front first, but what's that Bronco keep him in sight? He'll be close to the finish. great race. It's Dick Harrell with 9.60 at 142.63 miles per hour. Doug Nash clocked 9:57 seconds in a screaming catch-up effort. And right on their wheels come two more cars in the Supercharged and Open, sometimes called the Run What You Brung class. In the far lane, it'll be the bright new star on the Texas racing scene, Ray Capps and his Hemi Dodge the Headhunter, runner-up in the FX Fuel competition, and already a $600 winner today. Against one of the real crowd pleasers from California, Dale Armstrong, the Canuck. Armstrong had engine troubles this morning, and while he was still trying to solve them, we asked him about his problems.
What's wrong with the Chevrolet? It looks like you're down here.
Oh, we're having a bit of trouble with the blower. We haven't found the trouble yet, but I hope to before elimination.
How serious the trouble? How did you know you had some?
Oh, it just seemed to pull good in low and second, and then seemed to taper off in high gear. We found the blower had a cracked bearing in it last night. We got a new blower, but I don't know, we seem to have trouble with the drive now.
So how slow are you actually going?
Oh, we're only going about 138 today. Last weekend we were running about 152. So there's something definitely wrong.
In just a moment now, we'll know how well that troubled Chevy 2 is running after all of Armstrong's labors, as these two topless race cars are ready to go. It's the Canuck in the spectator lane, and Ray Capps on the far or pit side. Armstrong's off to a good start. He's out in front. Uh-oh. Apparently that 6 Supercharger just let go, and the Canuck is broke in the middle of the strip. Ray Capps streaks across the finish line with a 10.01 ET and 142.85 miles per hour, while Dale Armstrong limps through the lights with plenty of problems still. We may have a problem with the weather before we get through. Those wet skies are beginning to close in again, and the rains could fall at any time. But the races will continue as long as the track is dry. Here are two more Run What You Brung boys. On the pit side, it's the Seitz Brothers Barracuda from Kansas City, a national champion still going hungry for some Texas dollars, against the Chevelle of Erickson and Willard out of Wichita, Kansas on the near side. The Chevrolet comes out of the hole first at the green light, and he's going to beat the Scootin' Cuda. This is just not one of Doc Spence's better days, as Erickson and Willard turn on the victory light in the spectator lane with 9.51 seconds and 146.10 miles per hour. Now it's Chevrolet versus Ford in a revenge race for the Chevy, as the CKC fastback out of San Antonio in the pit lane takes on the Russ Davis Mustang from Covina, California for the second time today. Gas Ronda drove that pony past Fritz Callier in the CKC machine during the second round of FX Fuel. And now here they are, matched again in the Supercharged and Open class. Watch them. I believe CKC got away initially before Ronda, but the Mustang is passing at the halfway point. And through the eyes first, it's Gas Ronda with a 9.40 and 151.51 miles per hour. Limbering up those muscles in the pit lane is the headhunter of Ray Capps, ready to race Dick Harrell, Mr. Chevy, in the semifinals of the Supercharged and Open Championship. Terrific fight, both cars, leap out strong. And Dick Harrell crosses the line a winner on the people's side with an ET of 9.50 seconds at 136.15 miles per hour. Here's the other semifinals S&O race. Gas Ronda in the near lane against Erickson and Willard on the pit side. And it must be getting late because Gas was left sleeping on the line. But look at him come up now. He's overtaken the big Kansas Chevelle, and it's Ford winning with a 9.23, a new low ET for the meet at 152.80 miles per hour. A thrilling race to be sure, as Gas Ronda makes it to the $800 finals against Dick Harrell coming up in a few minutes. Well, we'll finish this day's action under the lights. And this is the race we've been waiting for. The Chevrolet of Dick Harrell on the left of your picture, the spectator lane, against the fire-breathing Ford of Gas Ronda, as these two top stars of the drag racing world go in off the line for the $800 first prize in the Supercharged and Open Run What You Brung class. And more than that, it's a return engagement for Harold, who was beaten by Ronda earlier this afternoon in FX Fuel competition. Harold's best time today in that Chevy 2 Super Sport was 9.60, turned against the Bronco Buster. And Gaspar Ronda holds the low ET of the meet, a frantic 9.23 seconds. when he came from behind to eliminate Erickson and Willard. But now they've cleared the lights, and this race is about underway, so let's watch and listen. Mr. Reflexes jumps first. Harold has the lead halfway down. But Rhonda is moving up. He passed him in the traps. The winner is Gas Rhonda in 9.18 seconds. A new low ET for the meet, set in the last race, and 154.37 miles per hour.
And Linda Vaughn, Atlanta, Georgia's gift to drag racing, Miss First Stick Shifter. Linda travels thousands of miles each year to appear at major meets around the nation. And she's become a crowd favorite everywhere she's gone. But action is the dessert at the NHRA Nationals, and Raceway Park is the place. The crowd settles, and here we go. We look now at the quarterfinals in the funny car competition. Joe Lunati will be in the far lane. A blown Chevy engine, fiberglass Camaro body. It's a 67 model. He's from Memphis. Jack Chrisman, Long Beach, California. One of the great ones in a 67 Mercury Comet. And Lunati wins it. Joe won it off the start. And the 1966 Street Eliminator champion goes into the 67 funny car semifinals. This is the semifinals of the Super Eliminator. A look at the Jewel T, owned and driven by Joe Davis of Campbell, California. The competition comes from the defending champion Gene Snow of Amarillo, Texas, and his Dodge Dart, the Rambunctious. A foul by Joe Davis. Red light. And Gene Snow goes to the finals at the Nationals for a second straight year. Now semifinals in the Super Eliminator. Jim Wofield, Pontiac, Michigan, in a Ford-powered B-fuel dragster against Dave Strickler, York, Pennsylvania, in a Corvette. Strickler in the far lane gets a handicap start. And he jumped the light. So Dave Strickler fouls at the start. Jim Wofield goes into the finals against Gene Snow. For Wofield, 183 miles an hour. A great effort, especially at the top end. Now we have the finals in the Super Eliminator class. Gene Snow in his rambunctious Dart. Jim Wofield running in the far lane in a Ford-powered dragster. And Wofield can't catch the Texan. Snow, well under 9 seconds, better than 138 miles an hour for the Super Eliminator Championship. Gene Snow in the Dart. Semifinals in the funny car class. Crowd coming alive for this one. Joe Lunati in the far lane in his blown Camaro. Terry Hedrick, Royal Oak, Michigan, in his Corvair. The winner, Joe Lunati, 8.2 seconds, nearly 175 miles an hour. When the super experimental stock came on the scene, they needed a name for it. They called them funny cars, and that's where we are right now, the finals in the funny car competition. Doug Thorley in the near lane, Doug's header's Corvair. Fast one, Joe Lunati in a Camaro in the far lane. Let's watch. And Thorley wins it. 7.83 seconds, 192 plus miles an hour. And again, let's take our long lens from the end of the strip and give you a second look at it. And notice Doug Thorley wrestling with a tremendous torque as he comes off the starting line. But when he popped his chute, he knew he had won the Funny Car Championship.
Another touring professional, Bruce Larson, turns in impressive speeds with his fierce new funny car that becomes an immediate favorite with the crowd. But a majority of the Indy field is composed of amateur weekend racers, people who run for fun. The Super Eliminator Championship race features a pair of the wildest cars in the park. Paul Stage in his AA competition rail faces Dino Don Nicholson in his Cougar funny car. Both machines are mad, far-out creations that run the quarter mile nearly as quickly as the fuel dragsters. Stage leaps to an early lead, and try as he might, Nicholson can't catch him. He pops the chute and jounces to a stop, through for the day.
Now a look at the fantastic funny cars, a pair of Barracudas. Ray Alley, power side. Rich Sarunian, spectator side. Watch the power off the start. Alley, out of shape. But he holds it. A fantastic job of driving by Ray Alley, and he goes on to win the race.
Each car is marked to indicate its class, which is determined by type of fuel, advertised power and weight, modifications, supercharging, and other factors. No one ever loved dog or horse or wife as much as these racers love their cars. A new and exciting class is known as funny cars. These are high-performance vehicles made to look like ordinary sedans. Inside, there's nothing ordinary about them. Special protective clothing is required in these lightweight powerhouses. These are vehicles of the space age. A sedan-like body is made of fiberglass and weighs only 150 pounds. The funny cars can race the quarter mile in less than 7.5 seconds. Top speed, 190 miles an hour. This much power can be lethal when out of control. Although one driver was seriously injured, the other walked away. Drag racing, despite this, remains one of the safest of all sports, with few injuries or fatalities in thousands of miles of competition.
If you watch some of these people, Danny Angaius in particular runs a car, and it looks as though the car is out of control for 1,320 feet, but he runs that thing faster than anybody else has been able to run a funny car this year.
The American Hot Rod Association Spring Nationals at Bristol, Tennessee brings together 51,000 fans for whom the greatest sight in the world is a blown funny car or AA fueler going through the lights with everything wound out tight. During 1969, the quickest funny car in the business is driven by Danny Angaius. His Mustang is built and maintained by the legendary Mickey Thompson. The heart of this torpedo is a Ford 427 cubic inch single overhead cam V8. Supercharged and burning nitromethane fuel, the engine develops 1,500 horsepower. Angayas' funny car record is 6.96 seconds and 207 miles an hour for the quarter mile.
It's been an unreal season for us. We've won over 90% of the races that we've participated in and won out of the 12 national events that we were very interested in. We've won 11 of the 12 so far. Well, I think it takes three main things. It takes a very good piece of equipment. When I say equipment, that's the chassis, engine, mechanical features. It takes an excellent mechanic, and it takes a good driver.
By late afternoon, drag racing's process of elimination has weeded out all but Angayas and Leonard Hughes. 1/100th of a second separates their best times. Now they will face each other for the funny car title.
You figure that the normal reaction time for a person is about 15/100ths of a second. It takes about another 1/10 of a second to get the tires all wound up and the drive shaft all wound up and everything. So you're working with 25/100ths of a second. And if you can split the difference between a light going on and off, it takes a half a second for the light to go on and off, and it takes you 25/100ths of a second to get moving. It's all something that's laid out before you, and you leave when the light's halfway off. I don't think there's anything magic, but it's really anticipation. Time comes to leave. You leave.
When the time came for Danny Angayas to leave, he left. And he left in time to take the AHRA Spring Nationals funny car title with him.
I made a prediction one time that a drag racing car would run 150 miles an hour in a quarter of a mile. Some of the famous magazine writers that time poked fun at me. And I actually believe that we will see someday a 5-second quarter of a mile run and over 300 miles an hour.
That's Speed King Mickey Thompson pouring the traction-improving bleach down for driver Danny Angayas. The Mach 1 stages against the Camaro of schoolteacher Kelly Chadwick from Texas. An anxious moment for trackside photographers as Chadwick narrowly misses the rail before shutting off. Angayas flashes through in 7.38 seconds. Chevy fans are backing Bruce Larson of Pennsylvania. He's drawn the quickest car of the meet, Don Schumacher's Barracuda from Illinois. Schumacher's engine expires while Larson charges to a great 735, 192 mile per hour wind, and the crowd loves it. Connie Kalita's Bounty Hunter Mustang now tangles with California Rich Sarunian, wheeling Big John Masmanian's Candy Apple Barracuda. Ford Cammer versus Plymouth Hemi. Tremendous hole shot by Michigan's Kalita, but the Barracuda is charging on the other end, and it's Big John moving to the semifinals by a headlight, 753, 199. Funny Cars semifinals. Rich Saronian dons his breather mask to face the Nationals' fastest funny car from Louisiana, Candies and Hughes, with Leonard Hughes in the cockpit. Both drivers are ready, and the crowd knows this will be a classic. Saronian by inches at 725, 207 to Hughes 728, 200.44. Chevy fans hope Bruce Larson is up to the challenge issued by Danny Angayas in the Mach 1. Angayas screams out of the bleach. Larson has red-lighted, but still both cars scream the full quarter mile. Danny into the finals against Big John with a 727, 203.61. Big John's Barracuda against Mickey Thompson's Mustang in the funny car finals. The Barracuda cuts the light too thin, giving Danny Angayas his biggest win.
The dual-lane Rod Runner drag set, just like the real ones. You set the speed. The toy speedometer tells you how fast. The winner drops the flag and the chutes pop automatically. Drag with Mattel's dual-lane Rod Runner drag set. Go with the winner.